Electrical safety devices are extremely important. It's our intention to show you what several of these look like, and in fact we've seen a couple of them. This is the third one that's very important, and there are two primary varieties of these. There's the circuit breaker main disconnect switch, which is what we're looking at. This one is rated for 200 amps. That means that this device, this safety device, it's also called an overcurrent protection device, will guarantee 200 amps essentially to this building. So if I were to push down on this lever, that would shut off all of the power inside of the building, and it's hard to push down on it. You have to put 20-25 pounds worth of pressure on this. But if there's an electrical fire and you don't know what to do and stuff is sparking or beginning to smoke, all you really need to do is make sure you know where your circuit breaker box is and to come down here and actually trip this circuit breaker, and all the power in the building will go off. So this is your main disconnect. It's a primary safety device. It's one of two that we're going to see today, and every house should have one of these in the United States as long as there's more than 6 fuses or 6 circuit breakers. Prior to approximately 1960, you didn't have to have one of these if there were only 6 fuses or circuit breakers in your home. Well, this is 50 years later. Every house should have one of these, or a main fuse disconnect, and we'll see that in a minute.
Will every living unit in a building have an individual one, or if you're living in a 3-flat or a 6-flat, are you going to find just one of these for the full building?
Every individual unit or apartment should have one of these, because this means you have your own electrical meter. Typically it means you have your own electrical meter. Sometimes landlords will rent apartments with electricity included. In that particular case, you won't have one of these, but you typically, 98% of the time, after all the inspections I've done, these are in everyone's house. If the landlord is renting you the place without one of these and without a main electrical box, there's a pretty good chance that that place may not be known to the city or your municipality as a rentable apartment. So if it's below the grade, 4 or 5 feet below the ground, for instance, and if you don't have your own electrical box, that could be a problem. But yes, every single home should have, or condominium or apartment should have one of these, or I'll show you in a minute a fusible link. Okay, so we've just seen an example of what a main overcurrent protection device looks like, and that particular device was a circuit breaker. Here's an example of what a main overcurrent protection device looks like. That's a fuse. This is a fused disconnect, and it's different than the circuit breaker in that if you want to turn off all of your power, you have to grab the handle and pull it hard, 20 pounds, 25 pounds, and if you do that, then all the power will go off in the building. So these are the two most common varieties. You need to know what they look like if you're purchasing a home, or make sure and check for one of these if you're a tenant or if you're a condominium owner. Make sure that you have one of these with your own electrical meter, and these are the electrical meters. So each condominium or each building should also have this electrical meter. And here's a good example how we can compare and contrast the two main disconnects. Then they sit right next to each other. This is the circuit breaker type, where you push on the handle and it will turn all the electrical off in the building without the address. And here is the fusible type. These were common until 1960. As a matter of fact, I believe they're still required in historical properties that are being renovated. Fuses are actually a little bit better in their operation and safety than circuit breakers. Circuit breakers require that they be turned on and off twice a year to keep the mechanical components in good shape, whereas fuses, they don't require any maintenance at all. They'll function just fine.